Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your daily dose of zombies news from the game and its community here on COD Zombies HQ. We've got a lot to talk about today, so without further ado, let's kick things right off with our first story of the day. A few days ago, we covered Treyarch's supposed patching of random teleporting issues that were occurring on all maps here in Black Ops Cold War. Since then, Treyarch has claimed they fixed that issue over on their Trello board, but we didn't really see any patch notes for it. But it seems like Treyarch actually did release patch notes with a bunch of different other zombies changes, except for some reason they actually kind of buried the information. They didn't tweet about the patch notes, which they normally do, and you've got to actually dig in and find them within this innocuous looking post entitled "Free Access Week is here" to actually find these patch notes. Very weird. I'm not exactly sure why they decided to bury these zombies changes, but starting with the title of their post, Zombies is indeed free here in Cold War for the next week. Now, if you're watching this video, odds are you've already have Cold War Zombies, but it's very likely that some of your friends who you might have wanted to get to try this Zombies mode don't. So this is the perfect time to get them to download Cold War for free, where all three of the regular Zombies round-based maps are able to be played for free by anybody this week. So while it is a very cool event by Treyarch, let's see what they actually changed in the Zombies mode. On Mauer Der Toten, Treyarch says they've addressed an issue where the player could randomly teleport to another part of the map, sometimes resulting in death. And while they've listed this under Mauer Der Toten, I'm thinking that this was indeed a universal Zombies fix, because we've also seen random teleporting issues on the first map, Die Maschine, that I haven't really heard reports of since this patch released, though there is some reports coming out of the Outbreak mode of all things, like in this example here, of randomly falling through the ground, just teleporting underneath the map. Now, I'm not sure if it's the same issue of the random teleports we've been seeing in the round-based maps, or if this is just Outbreak vehicle jank that I've dedicated a whole portion to the show back a few months ago for you longtime viewers. But just something to make note of: if you get randomly teleported underneath the map or to a different part of your map in your own game, let somebody know about it over on Twitter or on Reddit that this issue is still happening. Next up, they've addressed an issue where the Mangler enemy could teleport to the player in certain locations when the player moved too far from them after round 25. So apparently the players weren't the only thing that was teleporting across the map. The Mangler boss zombies were able to do that as well. A few days ago, in a video in one of the last patches where Treyarch nerfed the heck out of Shattered Blast, one of you guys said in the comments, I guess the players were too OP again and zombies were complaining to Treyarch about it. Well, it seems like in this recent change, the zombie lobby was not successful and the teleporting Manglers are no more. Next up, Treyarch says they have addressed an issue that allowed the Klaus upgrade quest to be completed without participating in the Defend event. So I guess there was a way to skip that portion of the Easter egg. I'm not sure if that method was being used for speedruns of the map in the past, but if they were, that Defend upgrade skip is now obviously patched. Next up, Treyarch says that refilling RayGun ammo at ammo caches in Mauer now costs the correct amount. I'm not sure if it costed less or more than it should have before, but now you're going to be paying a pretty penny to refill the ammo on your RayGun, just like you do on every other Zombies map. And one more fix that is very welcome, as I know a lot of you, myself included, really like using Aether Shroud. They said that they've addressed an issue where activating Aether Shroud tier 1 or higher would not reload ammo for the Cerberus Blazer Wonder Weapon. So if you do have that version of the Wonder Weapon on Mauer and you use Aether Shroud, the game will now correctly automatically reload your ammo for you when you pop your Aether Shroud. Next up, in a bit of an update to a portion on yesterday's video covering everything we know and leaked information about new Zombies DLC that's going to be added into the game very soon with Season 5. By the way, if you haven't seen that video, definitely go watch it after this one. The card should be peeking out on the top right to tell you how to find it. But in that video, we covered that one of the two still unreleased leaked perks that we know are going to be added into this game is likely to be a modified version of PHD Slider from Black Ops 4. But apparently that might not actually be the case, and instead of Black Ops 4's PHD Slider, we might actually get the OG PHD Flopper back in Black Ops Cold War. And that's because we know PHD is going to be added into this game because a Dark Aether version of the original jingle for PHD Flopper was found within the game files. This has turned out to be true in the case of both Mule Kick and Tombstone, both of which had Dark Aether Aether versions found within the game files, and it's important to note that the version of the PHD Flopper song is not changed to PHD Slider. It's still PHD Flopper within the game files, leading to some questions on if they're going to replace or reintroduce dolphin diving to your character when you have the PHD perk active in-game. TGR over on Twitter brought that thought to the forefront. My own position on it is there's likely not to introduce a totally new mechanic along with the perk. I think that if they do end up calling it PHD Flopper, then they'll simply say that the flop portion of the perk will be that when you jump from a height, there's going to be an explosion when you hit the ground, and that's the flop portion of the perk. Though Mitch does point out over on Twitter, the perk jingle that we have in the game files specifically mentions diving to prone multiple times throughout the jingle. If they don't have actual diving, they should change the jingle IMO. So in that case, I'd say the most likely option is true, but it's not worth it from Treyarch's perspective to re-record the whole song in order to slightly change its contents and lyrics. So if PHD Flopper does release in its OG version and there is no dolphin diving to be found, I think we're just gonna have to overlook that portion of the jingle. And for an awesome look at what the OG PHD Flopper would look like here in Cold War Zombies, Dead Disk Drive over on Reddit released this awesome render about exactly how it's going to look in-game when it does eventually release. Next up, we recently got more definite information about the kind of zombies mode that is going to be added alongside versions of the classic premise characters to Call of Duty Mobile. Specifically, why it's interesting to me and Cold War players is because it seems to be focusing on an idea that Treyarch only flirted with a little bit back in Firebase Z, and that's the idea of adding automated turrets to defense steps here in Zombies, where if you guys remember, back in Firebase Z, I think for the first time ever, Treyarch did introduce non-purchasable, auto-activating automatic turrets during the reactor defense rounds of that map. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen auto turrets added to Zombies, but it is the first time we've seen auto turrets that aren't a purchasable trap. At the time, we theorized, and I personally kind of hoped for, that Treyarch would expand on that idea in the future, enabling players to upgrade those automatic turrets, giving us just more stuff to spend our points on late game here in a Zombies match, as it tends to get kind of tedious once you're all set up and have nothing left to upgrade. Well, it seems like COD Mobile is taking that idea a step further into their own Zombies mode, leaving me kind of hopeful that we still might see something like this from Treyarch in a mainstream Zombies map sometime soon. Though there is one huge thing literally that came to my attention recently if you intend to go back and play Firebase Z, that if you decide to hop in Firebase Z with 3 or more of your friends, it seems like right now the Orda boss zombie's health is actually glitched if you have 3 or more players in your game, rendering it practically unkillable. You basically can't take this thing down. No matter how much shots you put down on it, you're just not going to take it down. It has way too much health for just 3 players. Apparently, the health scaling for the Orda is fine if you have 2 players in your game or if you're playing solo, but for 3-person and above lobbies of Firebase Z, you're basically automatically doomed to fail that defense round. But guys, that wraps up the news today. I want to thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you did enjoy it, consider leaving a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do end up hopping into Firebase Z with 3 or 4 players, do let me know if you managed to kill the Orda. All the information I've seen tells me that, yeah, it's basically unkillable. The health scaling is broken when you have those players, but I'd like to know if any of you guys managed to accomplish it. But I want to thank you again for watching, and I'll see you with another Zombies news video tomorrow. Peace.